Hi there, hi there, hi there.
Hello, everybody. You are tuned into Non-Wealth.
And my name is Lebu.
And my name is Nell.
Yeah, man, this week we're going to be talking about the challenges that are faced by property investors. I mean, this is something that you have to actually listen to.
True. I mean, we're always talking about the roses. You always hear about the fun facts of property investing. However, let's also talk about the thorns so that you can know what to expect and what to actually avoid. When it comes to property investing, what comes to mind is cash flow. What comes to mind is profit. What comes to mind is growing my property portfolio.
And financial freedom.
And financial freedom. So now let us discuss what are the red tapes or what are things that can actually prevent you from reaching your desired goals with property investing.
I think the first one is your interest rates, right?
Sure.
So what is he saying? Interest rates, man. Interest rates are at its all-time low. So how can that be a challenge for property investors? So now you might say that is the case, right? So now the interest rates are actually low. So how can that be a challenge? So now how that becomes a challenge is that a lot of people are actually rushing to buying property without looking at the fundamentals of property investing. Do they actually understand the basics of investing in a particular property? What makes a good property a good investment? So now with the interest rates being so low, I mean, they've never been so long in a long time, right?
Yeah.
So now they're at the all-time low. So now we are actually rushing into buying property, and the media is saying that now is the right time to buy. Make sure that you're buying a property. I mean, if you are a homeowner and you're looking to buying another property, I mean, by all means, it's a good time to be buying a property, right? But now for us as property investors, we need to make sure that if I am actually going to be buying this particular property, this is a good property to actually invest my money in, right? Besides the interest rates, am I actually buying this particular property at a good price?
I mean, interest rates with property investing should not only be our determining factor that we are going into this deal. There's so many things that we need to look into. Like, for instance, if the numbers make sense, if I'm cash flowing positive, then interest rate will be a bonus pointing to that direction whereby I'll be reaping fruits from that property. However, I like what you mentioned, Lewis, that we will not buy a property just because interest rate. You know, when you just have that call with the estate agent, they'll be like, hey man, guess what? Interest rates are at the all-time lowest. So you need to buy this property as soon as possible. So with property investing, we don't want to put ourselves in that situation, because once we sit down and once we look at it as a business, if I'm cash flowing positive or not, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. At the end of the month, if I'm getting cash and my business is growing, because at the end of the day, if I'll be looking at the end of the month whereby I looked at interest rates rather than if this deal is investable or not, rather than looking at is my money better off in this deal than the bank, then I'll be shooting myself in the leg as a property investor.
So now the first point that we are drilling home, right, is that please do not rush into a deal because the interest rates are at its all-time low.
Sure.
Make sure that when you do go into a deal, the interest rates is actually a bonus, and then the interest rate is not the sole reason why we are actually jumping into this deal.
Sure. We can actually use fire to burn something, and we can actually use fire to make food. So in that case, we know that fire can be used for both positive and negative effect. Now, when we're looking at credit, especially as property investors, we need to position ourselves from the onset before we even start investing. Because once you go to Mr. Bank and say, hey, Mr. or Miss Bank, how about you provide me with a loan? They are going to look at how have we been using credit, or how have we been using money. So now what needs to happen is that we need to know the do's and don'ts so that we position ourselves to apply for the property. And even when we get that property, we need to position ourselves for the next property, because last thing you want is that you have the property, then you're using money not in a good manner, Lebza, on Instagram, and then only to find out that when we want to go into the next deal, then Mr. or Miss Bank will say, no, man, you're a risk. You're a risk. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. We need to look at how we use credit in growing our portfolio, man.
So now we always get property investors that are always coming to us and like, guys, you know what? I want to actually go into property investing. I've been working all my life, so now probably my credit record is actually good, right? But now when we go deeper into content, right, you find out that this person has never actually taken credit in their whole life. So now what this happens is that if you've never taken credit in your whole life, when you do go to the bank and ask them for a home loan, chances are they're not going to actually give you that home loan. So now before we actually go into property investing and saying that, you know what, I'm a property investor, right? I'm a property investor. Please do make sure that if you're not going to be buying cash, make sure that your credit record is actually good. And if you're buying cash, man, totally respect everybody that's buying cash, right? But now remember, in order to be able to scale up really faster than you would in terms of cash, you'd use credit, right? So now when you're looking at credit, this is money that we didn't actually have.
Sure.
We are actually using money to buy this particular house. But now here's the important part about credit: you need to run your numbers correctly, right? Because now with credit, yes, you might have bought the property, but now are you having to actually take out money from your pocket on a monthly basis and give it to this property?
True.
If that's the point, then this is not an investment. You are a property buyer and not a property investor.
True. I mean, I challenged one of the investors. That let's have a look at this. So we sat down. You know, with us, numbers mean everything. Numbers mean everything. We're not really driven by emotions or wow, it's got 2 pools and it's got a jacuzzi. We are looking at numbers when it comes to property investing. So now I challenge them with regards to, let's look at this deal and let's look at it if you buy it cash versus if you buy it on credit. So when will you get your money faster? When will you get your money back faster? That's number one.
Is it with credit or with cash?
Is it with credit or with cash? Number two, the return on investment if I'm buying on cash versus if I'm buying on credit. Where is my money actually working harder for me? Trust me, with that same property, you can find out that with these 2 questions that were asked, you get different answers. That's when you actually start to understand the power of leveraging. That's when you start to understand the power of credit, and you respect it like we do, man. Credit it's a blessing, man. I love credit, man.
But before you use credit, make sure, I like to reinforce on what we are actually saying, right? Make sure that you are actually buying a deal that will actually cash flow positive, right? Because now you don't want to buy a property using credit and now you have to always be taking out money from your pocket, giving it to this particular property. Let's go into number 3, man. Number 3, we are actually looking at taxes. How do taxes affect us as property investors, right? Neo was always talking about the 3 partners, right? It's me, it's him, and the silent partner. Neo, talk to us about that.
Well, the silent partner, guys, is that we can easily underestimate the power of a silent partner, whereby we be like, you know what? We're not going to pay the tax man. What's going to happen is that when we get the money is going to come into our pocket and we're going to operate that way. However, now forgetting that we are shooting ourselves in the leg. Why am I saying that? Overall, if we don't put our money within that bank, if we don't record that we've been getting so much for these couple of months or so much for these couple of years because we are running away from SARS, what happens is that we are already impacting on credit in that manner that when we want to go into the next deal, Mr. or Miss Bank will be like, gents, you guys are dodgy, man. You guys are dodgy because you're asking me for money. However, I haven't been seeing what you guys have been doing with money. So it's always best to actually pay your tax and do the right thing when it comes to credit.
Okay, Neo, I want to ask you a question, man.
Okay, I'm ready.
So now,
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. I know you like these unexpected questions, man.
So now,
yeah,
when you started in the property industry, right?
Okay.
What was the challenge that you actually faced and you would like our viewers to actually think about?
I thought I knew it all. I thought that I know the rental and I know flip. I know just those 2 structures. I just know enough about them in terms of rental. I'm getting money end of the month. Flip, I'm buying low and selling high. I thought I knew it all, only to find out that there is a back office, only to find out that I should never buy on interest rates instead of buy on strategies, instead of buy on numbers. I did not think about the importance of tax. So now what happened is that we learned that how about we actually benefit from experts? How about we actually have a power team? We will use their expertise so that we can grow our business. So hence I got experts on my side and they can actually give me advice in terms of growing in this property journey that I'm in. So guys, what I want to do is that I want us to actually have that connection so that if you are actually looking for a power team, if you are actually looking for, let's sit down and let's speak about property investing. What is really property investing on the ground? What's the practicality of rental? What's the practicality of flip? I would like you to send us an email and let's have a meeting and see how we can add value to to your property journey, and also with our power team. If you want an accountant who deals with property investors, we are your guys to actually speak to, man.
Then we are waiting for your email. Send us an email. We'll post down the email address below.
Hope you subscribe, guys. Hope you subscribe. You tuned into Known Wealth. When you see us, you know that it's a Thursday, man.
Known Wealth?
Signing out.